The mythology of America and historical reality converge in the tale of Davy Crockett. Crockett was a genuine person who held a position in the U.S. House of Representatives, but it was his accomplishments on the burgeoning western frontier that really distinguished him. Stories don't just start to happen. Crockett understood well the value of his image as a rustic yet valiant outlaw. During his presidential campaign, he used a lot of rural metaphors and homegrown wisdom in his speeches. While he was still living, rumors arose about him because of the captivating image he fostered. Don't forget to subscribe to Ancient History for fascinating insights into the mysteries of the ancient world and captivating historical narratives. Davy was raised in an impoverished French Huguenot household. After moving to Ireland, Davy's grandparents adopted the Crockett surname instead of de Crocketon. It's a good thing they did, since it's difficult to see Davy, with such an aristocratic-sounding French name, managing to maintain his image as a rural hunter. Virginia was the place of his father John Crockett's birth. John Crockett participated in the Battle of Kings Mountain during the Revolutionary War. Davy was born in Greene County, North Carolina in 1786. Although the area is now in Tennessee, it was formerly a part of North Carolina. John owned a grist mill, but both it and the family house were damaged by flooding. He was compelled to file for bankruptcy in 1795. John's family was so impoverished that he enslaved his son to a guy by the name of Jacob Seiler. Little Davy had received very little formal education growing up in the countryside. He was a wild child and frequently skipped school, which didn't help. As an alternative, he was tutored for 100 days by an educated neighbor. John attempted to compel Davy to attend school, but the youngster was unyielding and left to pursue his own goals. When he was younger, Crockett drove cattle or worked as an additional farmhand, but in the end, he went back to the family house and assisted his father in repaying the bills. Davy Crockett was not conventional in the slightest. His romantic history demonstrates this. Working on John Kennedy's land was one of his many jobs. There, he met Amy Summer, Kennedy's niece, and fell in love. There was only one issue. She was set to wed the son of Kennedy. Despite all odds, Crockett persuaded a bride-to-be to wed him, but she chose to wed someone else. In the end, Davy disregarded her family's objections and married Polly Finley. One of their 3 children became a member of the House of Representatives for Tennessee, following in the footsteps of his father. Sadly, Polly passed away in 1815. After that, he wed the local widow, Elizabeth Patton, with whom he had 3 additional children. Similar to several eminent personalities from the late 18th and early 19th centuries, Crockett joined the public eye via military duty. Nearly every resident of Fort Mims in present-day Alabama was killed when Creek warriors assaulted the fortress in 1813. The event served as a catalyst for the Creek War, a bloody battle that set rival Creek tribes against one another. Andrew Jackson led Lower Creeks, and they had the backing of American forces. In the meantime, the Spanish and British sent assistance to the Red Stick Creeks. Crockett became a member of the Tennessee militia and engaged in combat. He subsequently said, nevertheless, that he felt more at ease hunting wildlife in Alabama than engaging in combat with Native Americans. He nevertheless stayed an enlisted member and carried on serving under Jackson's leadership. However, Crockett soon became weary of serving in the military and hired a menial worker to replace him on active service until his formal release in 1815. Even though Davy's military career had significant shortcomings, it encouraged him to carry out more civic service. Soon after, he was named a commissioner and assisted in drawing the boundaries of Tennessee's recently formed Lawrence County. His meteoric climb to prominence in local politics had barely begun. Crockett was named Justice of the Peace in 1817. He was elected to the position of lieutenant colonel in the 57th Tennessee Militia the following year. In 1821, after a few years of concentrating on profitable commercial endeavors, Davy ran for public office once more. In the Tennessee General Assembly, he represented the counties of Lawrence and Hickman. Generally speaking, John Crockett struggled to support his family on the Tennessee frontier shaped his choices. Crockett supported heavy tax burdens on the poor and embraced populist measures. In Lawrence and Hickman counties, as well as throughout the state, he undoubtedly gained the ferocious allegiance of several smaller landowners and agricultural laborers as a result of these measures. But Davy's political inclinations also made him some formidable adversaries. They would prove to be his undoing in politics in the end. Amazingly, Crockett emerged from the backcountry to become a major figure on the national scene. Still, his political career was far from a bedrock achievement. He made multiple runs to be a member of the House of Representatives. In 1825, Davy lost his first election. He did, however, triumph twice in a row in 1827 and 1828. The tenacious campaigner was defeated by William Fitzgerald in 1831, but Crockett rallied and defeated Fitzgerald by a close margin in 1833. After suffering a crushing setback to Adam Huntsman in the 1835 elections, Crockett was eventually overthrown. Despite his ability as a public servant, Davy put a lot of effort on promoting himself. He promoted his image as a wild but loving frontiersman through the books he published and speeches he gave. 1834 saw the release of Crockett's autobiography, a narrative of the life of David Crockett written by himself. But the title was deceptive. Thomas Chilton, a political ally and U.S. representative for Kentucky, helped to finish the book. The main subject of the book was Crockett's frontier life. It downplayed his several profitable commercial endeavors in addition to his political career. Despite being quite well liked in Tennessee, Andrew Jackson and his allies eventually prevented Crockett from achieving his political goals. Jackson did, in fact, have a significant influence on Tennessee politics. The future president was not only one of the founders of Memphis, but also cemented his military reputation. When the Tennessee politician backed Whig William Carroll for governor over Edward Ward in 1821, the schism with the Jacksonians began. The gamble paid off in the near run. Carroll thanked Crockett for his support after winning the race. Jackson, though, did not forget his former subordinate's slight. When he defeated Jackson's nephew-in-law, William Edward Butler, in the Tennessee General Assembly race in 1823, the division grew even wider. However, Crockett was unaware of how strong of an enemy he had created and how bitter Jackson was. Jackson made his first presidential run in 1824. The Whig John Quincy Adams prevailed in both the popular vote and the Electoral College, but not the presidency. But Crockett was gravely incorrect if he believed he had escaped a bullet. In 1828, Jackson defeated Adams with ease. The new delegate pressed for the rights of settlers occupying land in western Tennessee that the government had claimed, but the Whig Party generously backed the Tennessee lawmaker because of his antagonism to Jackson. By taking a strong stance to shutter the West Point Academy, Crockett also rebelled against the military and the administration. He felt that it gave the scions of wealthy and influential families an unequal path to power. Probably the most admirable action Davy performed during his political career was to oppose President Jackson's Indian Removal Act of 1830. The lone delegate from Tennessee who opposed the bill was Davy. Several Tennessee voters were horrified by this vote, despite the fact that the Cherokees were extremely appreciative of the legislator's assistance. It was a major factor in his defeat in 1831. The disgruntled former congressman did not know what to do after losing. Crockett was intrigued by Texas's statehood application claims. He promised his comrades that he would travel to Texas and lead a revolution there if Martin Van Buren, a Jacksonian, won the 1836 elections. Davy fulfilled his word when the little magician took possession of the White House. He said to a reporter, "I promised the people in my district that I would continue to serve them with the same fidelity that I had previously shown. If not, they might burn in hell and I would move to Texas." Known for his charm and popularity, Crockett recruited supporters for the Texan cause. Eventually, he went to the Madison County Courthouse with a few supporters to give a speech. His statements in favor of Texan independence were heard by hundreds of interested bystanders. Upon his arrival in Texas at the beginning of 1836, Crockett swore loyalty to the newly established Texas government. "I have taken the oath of government and have enrolled my name as a volunteer and will set out for the Rio Grande in a few days with the volunteers from the United States." He signed an oath among other volunteers. He landed at the Alamo mission in San Antonio on February 8th. At the time, the Alamo was a key component of the Texas Republic's military strategy. Once a Spanish mission, the area was fortified into a barracks as the residents fought to keep their safety from wandering Apache tribes. The complex was moved from Spain to Mexico in 1821, but Texas revolutionaries took the castle from the Mexican army in 1835 and made it a stronghold. An army from Mexico under the command of Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna arrived at the Alamo 2 weeks after Davy did. The massive and formidable force besieged the taken-aback garrison. The defenders opened up a furious fire on Santa Anna's forces, but beneath the shadow of an artillery barrage, they approached closer and closer. It turned out that Crockett and his troops were a very strong foe. The Mexican soldiers had taken up their front positions in the neighboring huts, and he led his men into them. They drove the enemy from the forward positions by close-quarters combat, with reinforcements provided by grape shot fired from inside the Alamo. Davy took part in another counterattack that was momentarily successful. The defenders tried their hardest, but they were doomed. As their cries for additional support were mostly disregarded, the inevitable happened. The Battle of the Alamo lasted only 90 minutes, following a 13-day conflict that began when Santa Anna gave the command to advance. Crockett lost his life in the conflict. There are many who maintain that he was executed after surrendering to the Mexican forces, while others contend that he was slain in a valiant final struggle. Regardless, Davy lost his life that day and was burnt at the stake with the other defenders of the position. It is yet unclear where his ashes will be interred precisely. As the primary, well-known victim of the siege, Crockett rose to prominence as a symbol of the victorious Texan independence movement. For over a century, young American children were influenced by the image of Davy wearing his signature coonskin cap, a look frequently worn by frontier hunters like Crockett. The national mentality is strongly influenced by the myth of Crockett as the epitome of the hardy frontier settler. There was some truth to that picture because Davy had grown up hunting and on the frontier, but he was also a cunning man who worked hard to project that image in order to benefit from it in business and politics. Therefore, it makes perfect sense that Crockett lost his life trying to open up the huge American frontier and contribute to the formation of the Lone Star State. Nevertheless, the congressman's posthumous reputation was strongly cemented by the dramatic way he passed away. That's all for this video. We will be back soon with another informative video. Don't forget to like and share this video. To keep exploring ancient history together, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Until next time!